Today we're going to be talking about the Southeastern Territory. And we're going to be talking about the time I was there. So we're looking at 1983. I'm going in the fall. I'm going to be there for 11 long months. 11 long months in the Southeastern Territory. And then you're saying, well, what in the hell is the Southeastern Territory? Now, at that time, the TV markets they had the Birmingham TV. They had the Pensacola TV. They had the Montgomery, Alabama TV. And they had the Dothan, Alabama TV. So out of that, we usually worked 6 days a week. And it wasn't long territories. That's why everybody lived in Pensacola and everybody stayed on the beach. Now, the Southeastern Territory, this is the one that you had Ron Fuller. He was part owner. Robert Fuller was part owner. Jimmy Golden, their cousin, was part owner. Bullet Bob Armstrong, he was a minority stockholder, as was Roy Lee Welch. So a lot of times Ron would be booking the territory like for a year, and then Robert would the next year. Jimmy would always be working. Bob Armstrong and all these kids would be working. So there was Brad Armstrong, there was Steve Armstrong, and there was Scotty Armstrong. And then Roy Lee Welch, he would wrestle sometimes. Sometimes he'd work the gimmick table. Sometimes he'd help with the spot shows. Sometimes he would work the concession stand. We used to always rib him that Roy Lee's taken off, and I think he skimmed about $300 from the concession money. So we just rib him about that. But that was the guys in the office of the Southeastern in the area. Now, when I went down there, they had pretty much a set schedule because they had a lot of weekly towns. So every Monday night we were in Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham, Alabama, at Boutwell Auditorium. So Monday was taken care of for every week. Now Tuesday, this is 1983 and 1984, we would work in Mobile, Alabama every Tuesday night. And they had I can't remember the guy's name, but he was a sports announcer and he loved to cover the wrestling. So he would always come out and he would film some maybe 10 minutes of the wrestling shows in Mobile. He'd chop it up and he'd have a good minute be talking about the Mobile wrestling every Tuesday night on the late news.
He says he's not bringing Brenda back to Mobile until the local fans clean up their act.
Brenda's not coming to Mobile. She's not been to Mobile. She won't be back until we get some fans in Mobile with some class, a little bit of education, and acting like the way they look. Mobile has no class. And maybe next week we get some people that look like people and act like people instead of animals. She'll be back.
Now, that's what you call hype. He is really...
Ron Fuller didn't like it because the guy, he was over with me, and I did some interviews for him and stuff. But he was sort of charismatic, but Ron liked to treat the people that weren't in the business like they weren't in the business. But hell, this guy was giving us free plugs every Tuesday night after the matches in Mobile. So what the hell? Now, Wednesday night, we were always off. So that meant the boys were going to be at the beach all the time. Thursday, we had about a 165-mile trip to Montgomery. As far as I know, at that time, Ron Fuller told me that me and Austin Idol had the record for the most people in Montgomery. He told me that after we had broke the record or whatever. But that was how many years ago? Hell, that was 40 years ago. So what the hell? But Montgomery was every Thursday night. So you knew where you was going. So the rats knew where to meet you right there in good old Mobile. Now, Friday night, you'd have a spot show. A spot show would be like a high school, a grade school, a middle school, an armory. And you would have it on the way to Dothan. So after you worked the Friday night spot show, you could go and you go ahead and drive on into Dothan. Then they had the cheap motel there with the late checkout. And because on Saturday, now every Saturday morning we'd do Dothan TV at the TV studio there in Dothan. And that's when Charlie Platt was like, he was the main announcer. And then the great Rick Stewart, who got the head job in Kansas City after he spent his time in working for the Fullers, he was there as like the assistant. So you'd work on Saturday, you had a long day, and you'd work the Dothan TV. Then you had a couple hours off, go back to motel room, get the buffet, squeeze a workout or whatever. Then you had the Saturday night. You was in Dothan at the farm center, Houston County Farm Center, I think was the name of it. So then on Sunday, you'd wrestle. You lived in Pensacola, but you worked Pensacola, so it was almost like a day off. So the guys are at the beach again, at the gym again, goofing off, playing around. Everybody loved to come to Pensacola because the weather was always good. The trips were short, and I never heard any of the bosses ever raise their voice to anybody. So that was great. Now, some of the guys working there at that time, on the babyface side, we had the Rat Patrol. Now you're going, what the hell's a Rat Patrol? Well, the Rat Patrol was the 3-man team of Johnny Rich, who is Tommy Rich's cousin, Scotty Armstrong, Scott Armstrong, who was Bullet Bob's son, and then the Tonga Kid. The Tonga Kid was the youngest son. Is either Afa or Sika, but all the Samoans, they lived in Pensacola, and all the great Samoan wrestlers, they all come from there. And at the time, the Tonga Kid was like, I think he's like 17, 18 years old or whatever it was. And he went right to the WWF at that time from there. So they were like fire. They loved wrestling. They were young, and they just loved to perform, and all the ladies loved them. So that's the Rat Patrol. And then Kenny Lucas was there, the great Ken Lucas, who he'd always wrestled down south, and I worked a nice program with Kenny Lucas, and I certainly learned a lot from Kenny, but I knew him from Nashville. He had worked Nashville for the inevitable Nick Goulas in 1978. I was there. So it was nice to get in the ring and learn from the great Ken Lucas, as he was a staple in Southeastern, working for the Fullers. He was a good guy. He was a fair guy. He didn't take no guff. And I think every wrestling fan liked him. Then I might as well say that I was working down there. Right. Now, I'd met the Fullers before I went to Bill, after I'd left ICW in 1983 in March. I went down and worked a week for Ron Fuller in Pensacola. So they got to see me. So I worked TV for him, and I finished the rest of the week for him. So then I went over and worked for Bill Watts's territory. And then when I was finishing up with Bill Watts, Jerry Stubbs said, give Fuller a call. I think he's got a spot for you. So I called Ron Fuller. So I come in, but Robert was booking. So I come in for Robert, because Ron had booked earlier, but now it was Robert's turn to handle all the stress. And Robert and Ron were like night and day. Ron was older. Hell, he was about 6'9" and stocking feet. So when he had those cowboy boots and that cowboy hat on, he was like a 7-footer. That's who I come in to work for. Now, some other people who were working there at that time. Well, Brenda Britton worked in there, old Fleabag. Kenny Lucas, he was actually the guy that called her Fleabag for the first time on TV. So then we picked up the name from there. So no matter where we went, it was we'd always have one of the baby faces call her flea bags, and then she'd react to that. So it made the match a whole lot easier, a whole lot better. No matter who I was working with, as the baby faces would call her flea bag. Now Boris Zerof was there. Now Boris was the huge Russian, and what's funny, he's went as a Russian, Boris Zerof, but when he worked for North Carolina and Charlotte, he was one of the privates when Sergeant Slaughter was like the sergeant, and he was like Private Jim Nelson. So he went from Private Jim Nelson to becoming a Russian. Then all of a sudden he was going back to being staying a Russian as Boris Zerof. Of course, we all called him Buffalo Head. He could get all red, but he always worked hard, and he was a good guy. Let's see now. Tommy Gilbert come in for a short while. The great Tommy Gilbert, who was Doug Gilbert's dad and the great Eddie Gilbert's father, and he was a top pro. I learned a lot from him just watching him. Now let's see. Now Mr. Olympia was there, and that was Jerry Stubbs, and then Arn Anderson was there too. This was like his first major, his first territory, on first or second territory, was he was working as a hood as Super Olympia. So they wrestled each other, and then they took the mask off, and then they became partners. Jerry Stubbs and Arn Anderson, and Arn become so good.
Marty Lundy took a karate chop from my dad, and my dad went to hold his hair and chop him. And back then, Arn was really self-conscious about his hair, and he had a toupee. And the toupee came flying off.
Now, a lot of times when I was driving my old orange van, I'd have Sonny King and Vic Rossitani. They would be riding with me. And one night we were driving somewhere. I don't know where the hell we were going, but somebody hit my van from behind. So all of a sudden we all had neck injuries. So we was falling out of the van, and there's Sonny King. Oh, my neck. Vic Rossitani, he wrestled as Vic Rain there at that time. He's going, oh, I can't feel my fingers. I can't feel my feet. So I said, I might as well join in on it too. Oh, my neck. I hurt my neck. So we waited about 20 minutes, and the cops showed up. And all of a sudden, they're talking to the guy that hit us from behind. I had a big old dent in the back of my orange van on the bumper there. I never did get it fixed. Got some money out of it, but I didn't get it fixed. Poop on that. But the officer said, well, guys, you might as well get up. He ain't got no license, and he ain't got no insurance. So anyway, just another day in the life of a pro wrestler going up and down the roads. Now, also working was Bob's sons, the great Brad Armstrong. Stevie was just starting, I'm thinking, but Bullet Bob, he was always smoking a cigarette, always had the big arms, a legend in that area. I worked a big program there. Oh, I want to mention Larry Brock, the great Larry Brock. He's still refereeing 40 years later. The great Larry Brock. He was the young Larry Brock then. I think he worked at a cigar factory, but he was always giving the guys free cigars and stuff. But he's still refereeing when shows are down there. But Larry Brock was a great talent, and he knew how to take charge. And Larry Brock was over as a referee in the Southeastern area. Now, when I was there, Jacques Rougeau, I worked a nice program with Jacques Rougeau, and Jacques was French Canadian. It was sort of hard to understand him because his main language was French, and in his brother Raymond, one of the famous Rougeau brothers, and his dad, Johnny Rougeau, he was one of the promoters in Montreal for years. So Jacques was brought up in the business. So he understood the business real well. And I met him when he was like 17, when he was Jimmy Rougeau, working for Nick Goulas. So now, in the meantime, Jock had gained about 40 pounds of muscle. Now he was a whole lot bigger. So he was a big guy, and he could really work, and he really understood the business. So I worked a nice program with Jock Rougeau. I remember one in particular. No, we did the boxing match. That's what we did. We did a boxing match. So what happened, like on the last round, I took my boxing glove and I put it in the bucket of water, so it was water loaded. So so all of a sudden it was like a big loaded glove. So when the referee was checking me, they rang the bell to start the next round, and I was feigning injury or whatever. Brenda Fleabag tried to sneak up from Jock Rougeau, and he had that boxing glove, and she was creeping up real slow. And all of a sudden, he's shaking his fucking head. He's hearing the people. He turns around and knocks the shit out of her.
Bucket, and there's been a lot of controversy about this match, and another match has been. Oh, look at Jock Rougeau.
She does the Tim Burr, and everybody was happy because he knocked out old Fleabag. But then when he was busy congratulating himself, I hit him with a loaded glove, knocked him half senseless, and I beat Jock Rougeau in the boxing match.
Oh, look at Jock Rougeau, and now look at him.
Then after that, we ended up having a loser leave town, and we screwed him some way. So it was goodbye, Jock Rougeau, and I'd call him the Canadian milk dud. But anyway, it was great working with Jock.
I said, get ready, get ready, get ready. I got the dots on. I got the elbow ready, baby. We're going to see it. Let's do it right now.